everybody, and welcome to Coffee with the Coaches. I am Holly, your RN health coach for Lenovo here in North Carolina. And joining me today is Kim, our health coach. She is in Chicago, serving the Santa Clara population as well. And we have a very special guest today. It is
Cinnamon.
the boxer. No, I'm kidding. It is Daniela. She is from EXOS Power Up Fitness Center, and she's going to be joining us today to talk about exercise as self-care. So if you've never joined us today, just a quick kind of overview of what we're going to do. This is a very laid back chit chat. So grab your coffee or your other beverage of choice, like water. Water. Daniela, I know you have your giant water there, right? A tea.
I had matcha tea this morning.
Nice. I know. I feel like this is like I'm super caffeinated today. So if I'm talking fast, someone's going to have to rein me back in. So this is just a super laid back, we're going to talk, casually about some of the articles that we've read regarding exercise as self-care. Daniela's got some hints and tips and a ton of knowledge to share with us today. So just get comfy. We want it to be as interactive as possible. So if you have questions or suggestions, or you just want to say hello, please don't hesitate. That's what we want this to be like. We want it to be just fun and informative. And we do want to hear from you because this is specifically for you. So before we get started, we're going to do a doggy show and tell just for fun. So Daniela, introduce us to your baby.
All right. Cinnamon, come here.
Cinnamon. Oh, I love it.
Cinnamon. Sit down.
Oh.
So she's 3 years old, and we just adopted her about a week ago. So she's
Yay.
adjusting toes. She's a cuddler, if you can't tell. She's just a very chill dog, and yeah, she's pretty easy.
She's so cute. Adorable.
She's adorable.
All right, Kim.
This is Moby. He's an Australian Shepherd. He is 5. He really enjoys me working from home because we get to hang out more often.
No doubt. That's awesome.
Hey,
and
Chili.
This is Chili. Chili, look at my friends. This is Chili. He is an Australian Labradoodle, and he also just turned 5, and he loves hanging out under the picnic table because we're at the lake right now. So he just wants to look for birds. Okay. All right. So let's get talking on exercise as self-care. So the last couple of Coffee with the Coaches, we have talked about nutrition and we have talked about sleep as a self-care. And so Daniela, why don't you kind of start us off by, talking about, well, why is exercise self-care? Because a lot of people look at exercise as painful. Sometimes, some of us do, and we don't have time for it. So why is exercise really a form of self-care?
Yeah, that's a great question, and that's a great call out. I think when most of us think about exercise, we have this image of being really sweaty, being out of breath, it being difficult. So for this webinar, for this Coffee with Coaches session, I just really want to challenge everyone to kind of shift their mindset a little bit and not think of the typical exercise image, but I want you to think of it as movement. It's moving our body and as a way to enable your body to do what you want it to do. Because really exercise and fitness, aside from, you think about it separately from training for a sport event or training for a specific goal, fitness is really about your body being able to meet the demands that you have, the things that you want to accomplish in life. Exercise, movement is an enabler.
So would that be, Daniela, would that be like carrying all my groceries from the car in one trip to the house instead of 2? Does that count as a goal?
If that's what you want to do, that is demands that you have for yourself, the desires you have for yourself, absolutely. It's being able to carry all those groceries in one trip. So I know we often think about exercise, and when we think about like the benefits of exercise, we always talk about weight loss as like a benefit. We think about increasing bone density, increasing our cardiovascular health, our cardiovascular endurance. We think about boosting the immune system. But there's a couple things that we don't think about as often. And one of those is our lymphatic system. Our lymphatic system, right, is kind of this series of like lymphatic nodes and like pathways. And you can maybe imagine it like your circulatory system, right? It's got all over your body. It's these pathways that carries your lymph fluid, which helps to detox your body and helps to defend your body from foreign invaders. The only difference between the lymphatic and the circulatory system is that the lymphatic system doesn't have a pump, right? So your circulatory system relies on your heart to pump blood all through your body, but your lymphatic system actually relies on movement. Sorry, I'm going to let her out. Sorry about that, everyone. So your lymphatic system really relies on muscular contractions to push that lymph fluid through your body to function well. So that's one of the benefits of exercise. And then we can also think about your fascia. So your fascia is kind of like your very under talked about body system. So it's this layer of tissue that sits over your muscles. And it kind of looks like a little spider web. And it basically, think about it like saran wrap that like holds things together. That is what your fascia does. Your fascia also is a great transporter of water, right? So you can also think of your fascia as like kind of this irrigation system for your body to take water everywhere it needs to go. But you have to be able to move your water. So when you move your body, your fascia is better able to push that water to different parts of your body so that your entire body is well hydrated. And then lastly, like let's talk about the cognitive benefits of exercise, right? So let's specifically talk about your prefrontal cortex and then your temporal lobe. Both of those areas are very much associated with your memory, your focus, your personality, your mood. And both of those are actually also, especially your hippocampus and your temporal lobe, is associated with cognitive decline as you age. But exercise and movement can actually slow those processes down. So you want to think of exercise kind of like this 401k investment into your future, right? Into your memory, right? So those are ways why exercise can serve as self-care. Yes, there are a lot of immediate benefits, like boosting your endorphins, you feel good, you have a better mood, but you also want to think about the long-term investments of exercise. It's self-care now and for the future.
Yeah,
Oh, I love
think
that.
you bring up a lot of really good points. I think like you also touched on the fact that like, you know, we don't just need to be sweating till we can't breathe anymore, like also focusing on those flexibility and mobility exercises, because that's what loosens, you know, those muscles and tendons and ligaments. And, you know, it's physics for basic physics, which is not an expertise of mine, but I feel like some of the people here at Lenovo might be really good at physics and engineering. So, you know, short and stiff muscles are ones that cause injuries. So if you can, you know, lengthen them and loosen them, and that'll help you in the long run, protect you from those movements kind of going forwards from hurting you. So I think I really like how you talk about how it's about longevity. It's not just about like right now. It's not about like feeling good for 10 minutes. It's really an investment in your future self as well going forwards.
Yeah, I love
Absolutely.
that. Yeah, I love that. And I think, you know, that functional fitness piece is, I think, something that, you know, a lot of people forget, right? When we think about exercise, a lot of people just think it has to be, you know, making sure that you spend that 30 minutes, you know, with high intensity and get things done, and you got to schedule time to go to the gym. But, you know, you made a really good point that it's really about movement and just making sure that you're moving more often and you're utilizing your muscles in ways that are going to benefit you from not just that physical health perspective, because I'm sure that most people who are watching today haven't thought about their fascia. Like, I haven't thought about my fascia or my lymphatic system in a little while. Like,
I wake up thinking about those things.
which is why you're here, right? I think that's awesome. I think it's important to know that, you know, we move for a reason, and that's part of that. That's the self-care aspect of it. Um, which kind of brought, and I was taking some notes as you were talking, like all of these. So what's really cool is that, when we talk about exercise as self-care and sleep and nutrition, and you were talking about mental health and physical health and memory and cognition, they all work together in this beautiful circle, right? So if one of the aspects of self-care isn't working properly, or if we're not putting the effort into it, then that is really going to affect the other forms of self-care as well. And exercise is, Danielle, I'm sure you hear this all the time, one of those things where you're like, I I'm just too tired. I'm just too tired. I just can't exercise, right? But then, and I tell all my clients this, it's one of those motivational things that you don't, you just have to overcome it. You don't find your motivation to do it. You just have to do it sometimes because you know it's good for you and you're never going to regret it, right? Whether it's just getting outside and going for a walk, just doing some of that movement, you're never going to regret doing it.
Yeah,
Um,
I think that's a
one
big
of
barrier for most people is the thought that, this exercise session has to be 30, 45 minutes to an hour long, and that can be a deterrent for people. They might feel like, I don't have an hour to give to exercise. But a lot of studies have shown that breaking up, those 30 minutes into 5 or 10 minute segments throughout the day proves just as effective, if maybe not more, considering you're also taking care of your mental health in that aspect of kind of just breaking up your day into shorter little pieces. So I always advise people, there's really no shame in starting with 5 minutes. And if you're someone that struggles with finding that time, you can think about like pairing it with an old habit, right? So every morning when you wake up, you go brush your teeth. So thinking about attaching 5 minutes of just movement to brushing your teeth to your morning routine. So, after I brush my teeth, I will stretch for 5 minutes, and that just gets your day moving, right? And over time, you're going to see that 5 minutes can easily turn into 7 minutes, can turn into 10, into 12, 15. Before you know it, you're at half an hour, and it's a piece of cake for you. But start with those 5 minutes. There's no shame in that. And some people feel like if they don't have 30 minutes, they just can't do it. That's not true. Start with
Daniela, is that Atomic Habits by chance? Is that the James Clear book?
This is a process called habit stacking, where you pair a new habit with an old habit and you start to stack those habits. Yeah, and so thank you for bringing that up, Kim. Those atomic habits, you think of like your atom being like the tiniest little thing, like your cells are made up of a lot of tiny little atoms, and then your muscles are made up of a lot of different cells, which build up into your muscles, into muscle systems, and into your body, right? So it's kind of that idea that these tiny little pieces add up, right? And so that book actually talks a lot about being 1% better every day. And so when you're thinking about exercise as self-care, you don't have to start with that 30 minutes or to an hour. Be 1% better than yesterday. Start with those 3 minutes, start with the 5 minutes, add on 30 seconds each day. And over time, you're going to see that it's a lot easier. But it can be difficult to kind of look at it as a 30-minute to an hour segment and like feel overwhelmed by it. So definitely start small.
Yeah. And and I see some of my clients on here today, and they'll know what I'm talking about. And what I often tell them is, when you don't have time to do that 30 minutes, or where you feel like it's that 30 or 45 minutes, I just call it opportunistic exercise. So, keeping, some light weights at your desk. And typically I do, this is not my desk today, this is my picnic table, but I'll keep some weights here. And if I'm on a call, or, I'm in between things, I'll just pick them up, or I'll just do some squats, just stand here, do some squats. So sort of as the opportunity, as you see it there. And I like visual reminders. Do you know what I mean? Like, I like visual reminders. I like calendar reminders, just to get up and move. And I know some people really do utilize their activity devices, whether it's a watch, Some people are immune to them, where they nudge you and they're like, yeah, okay, whatever. Like, and they don't use them. So obviously, if you don't do that, if you don't listen to the nudge, then you have to find something else that will motivate you to move in those little teeny tiny spurts. So that's a really great piece of advice. I love that, building on, time and being 1% better. One of the other things you said, so in talking about the lymphatic system, and as we're moving into fall and winter and cold and flu season on top of the season of COVID, you know, our lymphatic system plays a really huge role in our immunity. And so, I read a really great article about exercise and building our immunity. So, Daniela, I know that you have some experience obviously with this as well. So can you talk a little bit more about, exercise, self-care to boost your immune system?
Sure. Yeah. So, like I said, like I said earlier, your lymphatic system, which is primarily your immune system, it carries that lymph fluid through your body to detox, take care of your body, relies on muscular contractions, movements to move through your body. So the more that we can enable that lymphatic system to move efficiently through your body, the more that your body's going to be able to take care of you, right? And just moving itself boosts your serotonin levels. So it's kind of those happy, feel good endorphins, which is going to have that cognitive effect of feeling like you're in a good mood. And that in itself is going to play a role in you making better choices to take care of yourself, to get rest, to eat healthier foods, to choose the options that are better for you. So all of that is tied together in helping to boost your immune system.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, one of the things that I was reading, and I think, we know this from a nursing perspective, but, even just doing, that 30 minutes or a few minutes of exercise helps build your immune system by increasing production of your white blood cells. And those are what we call your immune system army, right? They're your
Yeah.
fighters of infection. And so just from that physiological perspective, we know that the more we move and the more we increase our heart rate, we're helping boost that immunity by helping build. We're actually, if you picture it as like a little construction site in there, we're actually building our immune system every time we work out. I did read something interesting though, and I have heard this in the past. And Daniela, let me know. And I don't know this. This is just one of a couple of articles that I had read about it. But so we can build on that immune system, right, by exercising, which is super important. But there are some people who exercise a lot, like a significant amount, and maybe like more than an hour a day, 6, 7 days a week. And there's some evidence that shows that that's not good for your immune system, right? So
Yeah.
that can actually help, that will deplete your immune system. So, how do we, for those of us, and, there's some of us on the call who, I say some of us, it's not me. I don't mean I'm that person who works out 2 hours a day. I don't. But for the people who do, and I know there are people who love to work out and think that the more I work out, the better I'm going to be, the better I'm going to feel. Why is it not good for us to work out too much?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I'm glad that you brought that up. So exercise is kind of like these little small doses of stress, right? Exercise is a kind of stress. It's a good stress, right? And so what happens when you exercise in small amounts is it exposes your body to small amounts of stress, and over time your body builds resiliency to it. Okay. But as with anything in the world, any kind of extreme or too much of a good thing can turn into a bad thing, right? So what happens when we exercise, like our body is working off of our sympathetic nervous system. So we're like kind of, we're going flight or fight. And then after that, our body needs to kind of wind down into the parasympathetic nervous system. That's kind of like our rest and digest, right? We need that rest. So you want to think work plus rest equals success, right? But if you are someone that is over exercising or exercising and not getting adequate rest, you're just kind of going, you're just on all the time, your sympathetic nervous system doesn't allow your parasympathetic nervous system to kick in. So you're just always in flight or fight. Okay, so your body is literally just always trying to you're always in this stress mode. And even if you don't feel stressed, your body's always going. And so what can happen is your body starts to overproduce cortisol as a response to stress. And it's always just on, right? So that's going to lower your resiliency. It's going to lower your defense system. It's going to lower that immune system. If you don't allow your muscles to recover, it can lead to injury, right? So when you're over exercising, like Holly said, it can be a bad thing because it can lead your body to burnout, right? You can body can feel like you're crashing and burning. So you have to be able to find kind of like that sweet spot for yourself, and everyone's like very, very different. So for some people, that 30 minutes is kind of that sweet spot. For some people, it's 45 minutes to an hour, and that's perfectly fine. We're all different, and that's why it's so important to really be in tune with, what is my body feeling today, right? Am I like challenging myself enough to get like those benefits of exercise? Did we lose Holly?
Where'd she go?
No, I'm glitching. I'm still here.
Okay. Sorry, what was I saying? Yeah, we have to pay attention to our body and listen, is today a good day to challenge myself, or is today a day to rest, right? But when we start to ignore those signals from our body of being sore for several days and not recovering, being in pain that's like different from muscle soreness after a workout, you want to listen to those signs from your body and rest when you need to, because that's also a very, very important part of anyone's fitness journey. As I mentioned earlier, work plus rest equals success. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Holly.
Yeah.
Just
awesome.
bringing that up, I thought we could poll the audience and ask about mindfulness, because I think what Daniela is kind of touching on is also like getting in touch with your body and, practicing mindfulness. So the question is, how often do you practice mindfulness? And for these overachievers, it's every chance you get. Sometimes, oh yeah, you guys have said that. I really probably should do that. Oh yeah, that's a thing. I should do that. So I'm going to give everybody a couple more seconds so we can kind of loop back with how mindfulness ties into exercise and how that obviously loops back to self-care. And like Holly said before, it's all one big happy family. So almost everybody's voted. All right. So the results are in. So 47% of people said sometimes. So I think that's really good. That's better than I was expecting, to be honest. 30% of you said I really should start, and then about a quarter of you said, oh yeah, that.
Yeah. So I think, taking that, I mean, there's definitely lots of opportunity to participate in any sort of mindfulness activity. I know some of you who are on the call do participate in some of my mindfulness classes. So if you want information about that, please just email me after or at any point in time, and I can send you the links. And you can also find that information on lenovobenefits.com. And we can offer up lots of different resources for that as well. So.
Yeah, I have a great tip for practicing mindfulness during exercise, and that is being in tune with your breath. What happens, it happens more often than not that I have to remind clients, like, are you breathing right now? And I'm like, oh no, I'm forgetting to breathe. It's like, what? Funny, we start to hold our breath as kind of like a protective mechanism. But here's a little tip for anyone. You want to inhale on the eccentric part of your exercise and exhale on the concentric part of your exercise. And some of you are like, what do those words mean? And so I'll give you an example. It's really easy since I'm on my yoga mat. I can demonstrate a push-up. So your eccentric part is kind of like your lower, right? And then your concentric is when you're like doing the forceful movement, the strong part. So if I'm in my push-up position, I'm going to inhale as I lower, and then exhale as I push away. And that's going to be the same thing.
Form. Look at that form.
It's going to be the same thing like with your squats, your lunges. So like kind of when you're sitting down, you inhale and you're pushing back, you're standing back up on that squat, you exhale, right? So you always want to inhale on kind of that lowering part and then exhale on the like forceful part. So if I'm like doing a bicep curl, gonna lower, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, right? And those are just some examples. That's one way to practice being mindful, practice being present while you're exercising, and it's also going to just help your movement be and feel better.
That is good. I definitely need to be more aware of that, because I'll like start working out and halfway through the workout I like start yawning and I'm like, I'm not tired. Like, why am I yawning? And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not really breathing. I'm just kind of chilling here. So we only have a couple minutes left. Want to be respectful of everybody's time. If anybody has any questions for Daniela, please type them in the question box and we'll kind of play rapid fire with her. She's been great with us, answering all the questions we've been throwing at her. So you can type those in. But in the meantime, thanks for joining us. Thanks for coming. I attached some resources that Daniela sent over to us. So she attached some mindful movements to do at your desk. Just a quick pitch. Daniela also does, actually Daniela and Emma now do those little 5-minute stretch breaks every day. 1 p.m. your time, I think it's
2 p.m. Eastern time, and then 1 p.m. Central, 11 a.m. Pacific time. I'm not sure where everyone is at, but every day, Monday through Friday, it's quick 5-minute stretch break in the afternoon or late morning if you're in California, to kind of just get you away from your desk for a moment and help you reset both your body and your mind.
Yeah, big fan. I do them a lot, and I think it's great. It's just a quick 5-minute, get on, get off, move your body. You can, sometimes they do them in the chair, they do them standing on the yoga mat. They definitely make it work for any circumstances that are going on. Daniela, you gave a lot of really good information because there are no questions. Everyone is just like frivolously, they must be all taking notes and like, oh yeah, okay, inhale on this, exhale on this. My lymphatic system does this. So
well, if anyone is feeling shy right now or doesn't have a question, but you think of something later, please feel free to reach out to our EXOS team, powerup@lenovo.com.
Awesome. We did get a couple of, can you guys hear me? I know I was glitching out there for a bit.
Yep.
Okay, we did get a couple of comments, says thank you all, and this was helpful, great info. You are welcome, everybody. That's awesome. I did want to, I know we have like 2 minutes, and I'm sorry, I was going to bring this up a little bit earlier, but when we were talking about, obviously, you know, just in general, all of the benefits and all of the modes of self-care that are all intertwining in their happy little circle. Don't forget that exercise is a really great form of keeping a way to keep your blood pressure down. And that's really huge for a lot of our clients. We're seeing a lot of high blood pressure right now, and we always have. So, you know, if you're monitoring your blood pressure, if you've had a blood pressure issue, there you go. Hello, heart.
Oh, Holly's internet connection is kind of dicey. So anyways, Hello Heart is obviously a vendor that we partner with. So if anybody needs a blood pressure monitoring device, we can get you hooked up with that. They're free for anybody who has a hypertension diagnosis or if you're on medication. So we can get that sent to you at home. They're also on the Lenovo benefits page. What else was she probably going to touch on?
Can you hear me, Kim?
I can now.
Sorry. I think this being at the lake thing is fantastic, but I think my Wi-Fi is a little sketchy.
Yeah, I just told them about Heart and how we can get them signed up and all that fun stuff if they have questions.
That's fantastic. Thank you. And then the other thing, and we did touch on this a little bit, was that exercise is really great for sleep. So, you know, a lot of us aren't sleeping great, whether it's just the stress of everything that's happening. I know you can't see my face, but hopefully you can still hear me.
We can.
Okay. So know that the more you move, and it doesn't have to be regimented exercise, but the more that you move, the better sleep you're going to get.
what Holly said. Movement drives sleep, which drives better exercise, which drives better nutrition, which drives better habits. So they're all connected. Do them all. If you have any questions about any of them, EXOS services are available to all Lenovo employees, regardless of location. Harley's kind of coming in and out with us, so we'll see how much comes back. If anybody has to go, kind of.
So crazy. Okay. So just going forward, if you can hear me, Kim, go ahead and tell everyone about our next Coffee with the Coaches.
Yeah, so our next one is going to be in September. We're going to have Daniela's coworker Chris on talking about men's health and specifically tuning into men's health. We've gotten a little bit of feedback on how we're a little bit favorite towards women. Well, I'm sorry, we're going to do better, I promise. It's hard for me not being a male to talk about it a lot, but Chris will be here next week or in 2 weeks, and he'll be going through all things manly and being healthy and all those fun things. So we'll have him on in a couple weeks to talk about that, and then we'll be talking about flu and infection control and women's health, and we have a really good lineup coming up for you guys in the next couple episodes. So if you have any feedback, as always, please fill out the post survey. Let us know of any questions you have or any feedback. And as Daniela said, you can always contact them if you have anything exercise related you have questions about. She's much more in tune with all of those things. Holly and I know like this much. Daniela knows like this much. So we always go to her for everything anyways. So you might as well just skip the middleman if you want to get to the good stuff. But whatever works for you best. Yeah, I think that's it. Holly, anything else I missed?
I don't think so.
Cool.
Let's see. She had a question. Any more questions? No?
Nope.
I think we're good. Awesome. Thanks, everybody. We will see you in 2 weeks. Have a great one. Thanks, Daniela. Wait, we have one last question here. Oh, thank you so much. We'll start breathing again. Ha ha. Beats not breathing.
I hear ya.